morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel. On January the 1st, Racing Point were finally reborn as Aston Martin F1 with this cheeky little tweet that says, "New year, new me." Or winky face. The worst kept secret of 2021, I think we can all agree. So after that announcement of the team's name change for 2021, all we have to do is look forward to seeing that Mercedes W11 in British Racing Green. It's gonna look immense. But of course, not only will we most likely be seeing next year a new dominant colour on the grid, the acquisition of the team, the subsequent name change, and the injection of money that has so drastically changed things up at Racing Point. It's also really shaken up the driver market. But as Daddy Stroll was the one funneling all this money in to Aston Martin, it seemed quite unlikely that his son Lance was going to be losing that seat, even though it can be argued maybe he should have. So with Seb being swiftly moved on from Ferrari, Aston saw this as the perfect opportunity to increase the star power of their team's driver lineup. But with Lance relatively unmovable, their heads turned to Checo Perez, which meant that even after 7 seasons with the team, poof, Sergio was gone. He was given a little bit of the Spanish Archer, El Bo. You can have that one for free. So Seb and Lance are now the 2 drivers for Aston Martin in 2021. We weren't sure what was going to happen to Checo, but now we finally found out that Checo was able to scoop up Alex Albon's seat in the Red Bull for 2021. But for Sebastian, this move to Aston Martin could make or break his career. Will he ever be able to put his hands on that 5th world title that he set out to get with Ferrari all those years ago? This seat with Aston Martin could either send him straight into retirement in 2021 or catapult him back up right to the top of the sport. So what do we think is going to happen? Let's have a look into the rest of this video. As I'm sure we all know, Seb has had an incredible Formula 1 career up to this point, achieving his first win with Toro Rosso at Monza in 2008. Then getting promoted to Red Bull and winning the World Drivers' Championship in 2010, 2011, 2012 and 2013. 4 years in a row is nothing to be scoffed at. Only the greats do such incredible things like that. And then obviously after his time at Red Bull, he moved on to Ferrari to try and get that elusive title, as his idol Michael Schumacher had obviously done all those years ago, but he would eventually fail at achieving this goal, sadly. But for 2021, it was announced that Sebastian would be vacating his position at Ferrari. But Seb was very clear that that decision had absolutely nothing to do with him. And to be honest, he seemed pretty frustrated about the whole thing, and I mean, rightfully so. He'd given all this time and all this effort to the Ferrari team to then be discarded, absolutely thrown to the curb like that with a flip of a coin. Is just, oh, poor bloke. It was a pretty rough situation, and it looked for some time like Vettel would go to be driving for Ferrari, who have always been, I know maybe not this year, but have always been one of the top teams, that they're just not having a seat at all. Mercedes firstly distanced themselves immediately from such a move that would have seen the pairing of Hamilton and Vettel, which would have been crazy, but yeah, just was not necessary for Mercedes for the amount that they're dominating right now. Red Bull would say no to a possible return to the team. McLaren were never even interested at all, and there were talks with Renault, but they would eventually fall through. And that would leave Racing Point to eventually snap up Vettel off the driver market, with Hamilton stating that he believes that this move is exciting not only for himself and other racers, but for the whole of Formula 1, and he's glad that Seb decided to not stop racing in Formula 1 despite the setbacks that he's had in 2020. Vettel claimed that the Aston Martin project seemed to be the right fit for him, but Sebastian wasn't blinded by this relaunch, saying that if you want to win the championship next year, you have to be in a Mercedes, which I think is very much true. But Seb does believe in his team's ability and that there is a lot more to come from Racing Point, now turned Aston Martin. Vettel himself said, "I have a lot more to give," and he didn't want to pootle around in some midfield team kind of like he's been doing with Ferrari in 2020, but we'll forget about that. And he doesn't believe that that's what he's going to be doing at Aston Martin next year. As they've shown this year, time and time again, they can race at the top with that car. And these are very, very positive outlooks for Seb to have. And the only way that he can go into next season, he's just got to hope for the best, continue the form that Stroll and Perez have been having this year, and just absolutely go for it, basically. That pink Mercedes W11 clone will continue racing in 2021 with a small amount of upgrades, but it's basically going to be the same car as most of these teams' budgets are now going on to the 2022 car, obviously with all these regulation changes that are going on. So Vettel knows that at the start of next year, he can be on it from the off, and he's definitely, we can say, going to be ahead of his old team, the Ferraris, and that also means that if he's able to attack it immediately in 2021 and get up to speed pretty quickly with the car they've got and the whole running of the team. Obviously, he's been stuck with Ferrari for a while now. He's been in the whole running of how Ferrari works. That's going to change at Aston, but he's able to bed in well. He should then be able to attack 2022 much better as well with the regulation changes, and could really be up there. The budget cap that's coming in at the moment is also going to really help Aston and Vettel as well move up closer to the top teams such as Mercedes, and will also continue to close in that midfield gap, so should produce some fantastic racing and should hopefully provide some better results for both Vettel and Aston Martin. But another sort of smaller point that I have, although Mercedes snubbed a possible move for Vettel to partner Hamilton in 2021, obviously that was kind of a risk they didn't really need to take with where they're sat right now. Joining Aston Martin brings Seb into that kind of Mercedes family. Obviously, Mercedes providing the engines for Racing Point now, Aston Martin, but as Mercedes supply that engine, they've got that relationship, and if Seb does really prove himself that he is a front runner and he can go for that world title again, maybe we could see 2022, the drivers moving around even more. Maybe Seb moves into that Mercedes. I don't know, possibly wishful thinking, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows at Aston Martin, so let's hand it over to my good friend from the BMPH Racing channel, all right, FOM, don't come for me, I'm so happy I'm called Moto Meerkat, I can't lie. As I was saying, let's hand it over to BMPH Racing to talk all about the negative side of this move.
Yo, what's up Meerkats, how are we all doing? Now, first of all, I want to say thank you to John for having me on this video. Even though we may have our differences, regardless, I'm always down for a collab. Portimao. But anyway, that's not why we're here. We are here to talk about Sebastian Vettel. And for this one, John has asked me to discuss the possible negatives surrounding Sebastian's Aston Martin move. Now, as much as we all love Seb, it wouldn't be objective if we completely ignored the recent poor run of form and the number of critical errors he made during his Ferrari stints. For example, you have Baku and Singapore in 2017, you have Germany, Monza, Japan and Austin in 2018, and then you have Monza, Silverstone and Brazil from 2019. And in these particular instances, something just didn't seem right. Whether it was a lack of confidence in the car or being frazzled by a young and talented hotshot is up for debate. But we are still yet to discover whether the Vettel of old will re-emerge, or whether he really is a shadow of his former self. This uncertainty may not be ideal for Aston Martin, who will be relying on his experience to lead the team in the right direction. Another point that could be argued is that Aston Martin may not be as good as they are now in the long run. Going into 2021, they are likely to have the third fastest car on the grid, which is great news for Seb, given that he will technically be making a step up into a faster and more reliable car. However, with teams like McLaren, Alpine and Ferrari all making a resurgence, Aston Martin may not be able to hang on to their current advantage for very long. And that's not to say they are not capable of developing good cars. It's more like the other three teams have more experience in winning drivers and constructors championships, therefore they are more likely to ace the 2022 regulations. This leads me nicely onto my third point, which is that it's unlikely he'll win a 5th world championship if that's what he's striving for with his project. Now, he may only want to win a few more races, which I think he certainly can do. However, if he's aiming to fight for titles again, a team like Red Bull would probably have been his best bet. But as we know now, they ended up rejecting him and bringing in the man he replaced at Racing Point, Sergio Perez. But then again, a partnership between himself and Max Verstappen in a car not designed around his preferences probably would have been a worse option. But anyway, those are my thoughts on why Seb's move to Aston Martin may not pay off. And with that, back to you, Moto Meerkat.
Thank you, my dude. Some very, very interesting points there from my good friend. If you haven't subscribed to BMPH Racing already, what the hell are you doing with your life? The link will be in the description. Make sure you go and do that right now. But aside from that, is Vettel a better fit for the team in general than Perez? Before we discuss that, can we just talk about the f***ing blinder that Red Bull have had? They've secured Perez, a top talent, possibly at the peak of his career right now, loads of sponsors backing him, relatively cheap wages because he had no other choice to race in Formula 1, and only a year contract, so if he messes it up, they can just get in someone new. How have Red Bull managed to do this one? Fair play. But anyway, yeah, sorry, back to the Aston Martin picks. Perez has consistently outclassed Stroll while he's been at the team, there's no doubt about that. So Vettel needs to dominate Stroll. As soon as he comes in, there needs to be no hesitation about it to prove that the comeback of his career is really, really on, and that he can do it, that he can go back to the top, that he can start fighting again. Come on, Seb. So although I'm not sure I'm too optimistic of him doing all that and being able to get right back up there to the top, I think Vettel is definitely likely to get some podiums, possibly a win or two maybe, like Checo did this year. Hopefully, if he has some luck, that can all come together. But really, I'm just hoping that we don't see so many sBinallas. Obviously, that was largely due to the Ferrari's kind of loose rear end that Charles likes, which was another change that came in to favour Charles, kind of kicking Seb to the curb again this year, poor bloke. And I do really believe that Vettel should be able to reinvigorate himself and his career in Formula 1 with that new Formula 1 car at Aston Martin that should be a little bit more balanced, a little bit more to his liking, and returning his personal brand from a man who spins a lot to hopefully a man who wins a lot. Let's see. But there we have it. Those are my thoughts on whether Sebastian Vettel can be reborn at Aston Martin in 2021. Well, reborn, probably not. Have a bit of resurgence? Yeah, that's definitely on the cards. I can certainly say that I'm really looking forward to seeing Seb racing around in that British racing green Mercedes W11. But what do you reckon? I'd love to know. Be sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on the Vettel move to Aston Martin down in the comments below. Do you think he's going to do really well this year? Better than Stroll? Pushing up for that championship maybe? Or is he still going to be languishing down in the sort of mid-pack like he was this year? Let me know. Obviously, if there's any debates going on in the comments, be sure to keep it all respectful because we love each other. We're all loving Formula 1. Let's just be nice. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like on it down below. I do really appreciate that. And it kind of just shows me that you've enjoyed the video and to make ones that are similar to it in future. Now, if you did enjoy it, be sure to subscribe to the Moto Meerkat channel as well because I make lots of motorsport content that you're not going to want to miss in future. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching and I will see all of you Meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.